2012, when I first started my doctoral program at UNC Greensboro, North Carolina, we took this class called Opera after 1970, and it was really a fascinating class. And part of our project, final project, we were supposed to either discover a brand new opera that was written at a time, or perhaps they were some modern performances of already traditional opera. So during this research, I did come across Lera's opera Gogol, dedicated to one of the Russian, Ukrainian writers. And I got in touch with her regarding watching one of the dress rehearsals virtually. And the timing didn't really work out, and she was kind enough to just talk to a little bit about her her background. She said, well, I do have solo piano pieces if you're interested. So, and when it was time to do the dissertation, I wanted to focus on her compositions. So I dug deeper and discovered the 24 Preludes for Piano Opus 41, and I began the exploration. And to me, I guess I immediately was fascinated and drawn into her compositional style just because how fresh and unique it sounded. And she was so daring in a lot of ways that she didn't care if it was beautiful or ugly, just all created a sound picture of sorts. And in my opinion, I later realized that one of the reasons why she excelled at writing new music that was so interesting is how in a smart way, she connected the atonality and tonality, and you never knew what will surprise you, basically, as you listen to it. And there was always this interesting thread of this darkness and mysterious sound going through. Sorry, no, please come in. Hi. Well, fiesta here. So I just put a few brief autobiographical points on the screen for you, but she was born to a Jewish family on October 21st, 1973. We are actually 12 years apart, to a month. I'm early in October. And so that's another thing. I was like, yeah, Libra. So she was born in Chelyabinsk, which is near the Ural Mountains. And actually, funny fact, as a child myself, I actually remember watching her on TV. And I think there were some older recordings because they were still black and white. And this was this little button girl just sitting talking to a grown man about poetry and literature and music. It was absolutely fascinating. So in 1991, she became the last artist to defect the Soviet Union before the doors were widely open to the public. And she went on tour to the United States, and she never came back very much. She did end up auditioning at the Manhattan School of Music. She got in, and then later on transferred to the Juilliard School, where the rest is history. I mean, she finished her both bachelor's, master's in piano and composition. And additionally, she also studied comparative literature at the Columbia University and later received a performance diploma from the Hanover Hochschule for Music. And of course now, those of you who do know her, I mean, her music compositions and influence takes her across the globe. I mean, she collaborated with a world-leading artists, including Hilary Hahn. They recently had a concert actually last year featuring a lot of the chamber music for violin and piano. It's important to notice also how closely tied she is to the arts in general. Yes, she's a composer, she's also a concert pianist, but she's equally as good as a conductor, a visual artist. Her artwork is exhibited all over the world. She's also an award-winning poet and a writer. During the pandemic, she actually was kind enough to start a YouTube channel with her just talking to the audience, reading her poetry, but in Russian language. So I got to enjoy it, but some people couldn't. So in 1996, she actually was named Poet of the Year by International Pushkin Society. And she has several books out as well. So one thing I wanted to include is an interesting quote that she herself I guess, used to describe herself as a person of creativity. And she said the moment of creativity is difficult to explain because the connection between inspiration and the author is similar to music as much as it is in poetry. I never know which form the inspiration will actually take place. Sometimes it gains the shape of sound or words or images. And sound does not bear the same boundaries the words do, so therefore it is an easier way to touch a human heart. And without touching the heart, the miracle of creative outburst does not take place. So I thought that was quite interesting. Just a couple of things, I guess you can decide for yourself as I'm playing these 24 piano preludes, and I would encourage you to actually listen to her orchestral works because just how different they all are. But you can characterize her compositional style for its artistic and stylistic freedom, rich poeticism, no matter what she does, and a very peculiar juxtaposition of tonal and atonal languages. So regarding the piano works, what I wanted to walk you through just a couple of very interesting artworks, just to give you an idea what you will actually also hear. So some of these works just were created, God knows what they were inspired by, but very expressive. And some of them accompanied musical work that she did. So this one is the Crying Pond, which is the bronze version of a sculpture they did for the opera Gogol, the one I mentioned in the beginning. So very fun little creature there. So there's always this sense of beauty and very striking, grimacing kind of horror mixed in. So the Moon Rider was inspired by her Symphony No. 3. She named it Infant Minstrel and Peculiar Menagerie. Don't show that to children. It's very terrifying. So, and then a couple of these they're also now for sale, so there's some art collectors can purchase them, called Hear Me and Vowed for Life, all bronze sculptures. And this one was created for the violin concerto Fractured Dreams, that I know there's also the violin and piano version that Hilary Hahn played with Lera, and this is a cute little sculpture that she created. And of course, as a writer, she has a couple of books out on poetry, and this is Access of Being, little aphorisms. She calls them rooferisms. Just to kind of give you an idea of what her very introverted self is into. I don't know if you can see by this. As I speak in major keys with others while keeping the minor ones to myself. And the cello bled through my dreams. I woke up knee-deep in music. And this one, I'm not quite sure what this was for. I did find it on her website. But she had this big exhibition of enclosed space with different lights and create an image of a floating angel. So she trapped an angel. Yes, and just a couple of poems that she wrote. If you'd like, I can read it really quickly. She wrote this actually as a child. What do I remember? Sounds all around. I don't know words yet, but I can feel melodies of phrases. Everything is music, the voices of people, the wind outside, the bell of the streetcar. When people speak loudly, I want to cry. There are more sounds than I can hold. I have no space left to breathe and gasp for air. The voices become quieter, slower, lower, and I can breathe again. So, and I'll tell you a little bit about the preludes. I didn't base my dissertation on the analytical portion. I wrote actually a performance guide through each prelude, and I separated into 3 sections from least difficult works to the most challenging pieces. But a little overview. The 24 preludes were written in 1998. It was a commissioned work for the Carol Moore International Festival, and it was the very first set of the 3 24 prelude sets she ever wrote. The other ones that people are more familiar with are the 24 preludes for violin and piano and for violoncello and piano. And so many people recorded these already. But the 24 Preludes for solo piano follow the structure of circle of fifths pairings modeled after Chopin's Opus 28 and the Scriabin's 24 Preludes. These preludes can be described as short tone poems and are polystylistic in nature, where Auerbach, and this is, if you think about 1998, she's still a younger version of Auerbach, still finding her language. She does pay an homage to some older forms, modeling some of the preludes after chorale prelude or Richard Carr, and with musical elements and quotations from music of Schumann, Bartók, Mussorgsky, Ravel, and Baroque composers. So you may hear some of the, those elements there. From her own words, she does prefer the work to be performed as a whole, and it runs approximately 40 minutes, depending how slow you actually take it. But there is a shorter version available if any of you are interested to program it as a suite for piano Opus 41A. Today I was hoping to play 12 of the preludes. I saved the longer ones for perhaps another time, but if we're running over time, I will most likely omit number 7 and number 11, but we'll see. So the one thing that is very peculiar, even though the preludes do not have titles, just as tempo marking or their feeling, they are like in C major, A minor, but sometimes you cannot even tell what key it's in, so it's very obscure. So it's 41. I think I better get started. Just use your imagination. start here. Notes, but I hope you pianists explore these pieces. They're just so phenomenal.
Oh, it's time. Oh.
I know.
No, it's so much.
Thank you.